I was making somewhere between $400 to $600 a day on candy. I had, 9th and 10th graders selling candy for me. So
What?
my senior year, I was sitting on over $10,000.
I don't want you incriminating yourself if the answer is yes. Did that ever dive into something illegal?
Not buying no candy in college, right?
Saddiq Ali, all-around hustler, entrepreneur, and through his Drive Forward Academy, he's helping formerly incarcerated individuals obtain their CDL license.
You'll be surprised I was law enforcement.
What was that like being a police officer, a young black man in the Bronx, trying to help your own people?
Thought I could change the community, so to say, but I realized that the shield was much bigger than me.
You know, we always used to say that the biggest gang in New York is the NYPD.
It didn't dawn on me until I slapped cups on a 16-year-old, chasing down people for little micro joints. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Mentors podcast. As always, REAL stands for Real Examples Altering Lives. And I'm your host, Sean Martin. Today in studio, we've got a gentleman that I was fortunate enough to meet at a speaking engagement in the South Bronx not too long ago. I've got Mr. Saddiq Ali, who is an all-around hustler, entrepreneur, and through his Drive Forward Academy, he's actually helping formerly incarcerated individuals obtain their CDL license. So Saddiq, my brother, welcome to the show. How are you today?
It's a pleasure to be. I'm doing great.
All right.
Thanks
Sorry about that drive to Long Island, but
no, it's cool.
It never seems to challenge even the best of drivers like yourself.
No, absolutely not. And anytime I have the opportunity to be in great presence, I'm going to take that chance. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. You really stood out to me when we spoke. You pulled me to the side afterward. We had an amazing conversation about just coming from where we come from, being able to obtain the success that we've had and the grind that it took and the mindset shift, most importantly, that it took to get to this place. So I want to tell the audience a little bit more about you, about your story.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, man. What you're doing is obviously amazing.
Yeah.
So let's dive right into it. Where are you originally from?
So born and raised in Brick City, Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
Spent the better half of my adolescent years there up until about the age of 9. Then my mother uprooted us to the Bronx. Well, first Brooklyn, East New York.
Okay.
If you know anything about East New York, it's
I don't know that was a step up from Newark.
No, it wasn't a step up, quite frankly. And then from there, we bounced around from virtually every borough you could think of before landing in the Bronx at the age of 14. Due to some domestic violence situations and things of that nature, we was in different shelters, so to say, and then finally got placed in the Bronx. And Bronx just became like my second home. You know what I mean? I embedded myself into the community, went to, various different schools, and they just, took me in with open arms, it felt like. So
Nice.
it's Bronx.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if you want to dive into that, but I mean, what we go through, right? Our pain essentially will become that drive and that purpose.
Absolutely.
And so many of people that you probably grew up with and I grew up with went through similar situations. I got family members that in shelters, incarcerated, drug programs, the whole nine.
Yeah.
How did that affect you growing up? And did you have any siblings or?
Yeah. I got, my sister, we grew up together, but I also have an older sister. We have the same birthday, and I have a younger brother who actually was one of the reasons why I shifted my mentality at a younger age. Having that younger brother, you feel like a sense of leadership. Like I want him to look up to me in a certain way. So having a little sister is the same, a younger sister is the same, but when you got a younger brother, it kind of hit a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I got 3 siblings, but me and my sister, my younger sister, we grew up, same household. We went through all of those struggles together. And then just to answer your second question, being in those environments, I never let it kind of like be a detriment to my growth. I kind of looked at everything as a chance to create a better story. And I had that idea at a very young age where I'm like, okay, this is the environment that's around me, but I could still dictate and change the narrative according to how I approach life. And that started at the age of like 12 years old. Going through certain hardships, you realize your mother's hustling. She used to sell books. I actually posted something like this on Instagram yesterday. My mother used to, sell a lot of urban fiction books.
Okay.
And oils and shea butter and all this stuff. She had like 3 tables. Wow. So I seen her flip tables and do that. So it was like, I seen hustling right there and learn how to sell at that moment. Okay.
So that's crazy because you don't usually see a woman.
Yeah.
Like you mostly see men hustling, whatever that may be on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So was that an inspiration?
No, absolutely. It was.
Were you out there hustling with her as well, working the tables?
She would tell me, you got to read the books, and if you want to help me sell these books. Nice. So I would read all of these different, different urban fiction books.
Donald Goins, all that.
Everything, Sister Soldier, you name it, right? And I would read them. I'm like, wow, this is a little advanced, but I also had the mindset, like, I felt like I was older anyway, but, and, reading those books taught me a lot. But then also understanding the product and what you're selling, right? And how to upsell. The more you know about what you're selling and what you're doing, a better sell you can make. So my mother definitely taught me that, and I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know.
Is mom still around?
Yeah,
kudos, mom. Yeah, kudos to all the moms, but kudos to your mom.
Yeah.
That's a valuable lesson that most people are never going to learn, whether it's street hustle or even in a business setting. Most people just take for granted money and the lessons, but it seems like just life was a lesson for you early on.
Life was always a lesson for me early on. I just always had a sense of, hardship. My hardship didn't define me. Coming from Newark, New Jersey it's no easy. You couldn't tell me I came from the slums at that age.
Right, it was just normal.
Yeah, it was just normal.
Right,
yeah,
and that's what most people, now that I'm on another level and you're on another level, when you get to sit down and get to know some of your colleagues who may not know part of the past. I had a gentleman just the other day. Yesterday, we were in Boston working a real estate event together. Owner of a company, great guy, an attorney. And we just got to talking about what my mission was. Yeah. And he goes, man, I got to tell you, like, I never think about that stuff. And I just jokingly, because we had that rapport, I go, of course you don't. You're white.
It's different.
It's just different. And, it's crazy because when people respect you, no matter what your color is, they're more inclined to let that information sink in. And it was a real good conversation. I think at that point, we just kind of ingratiated, ourselves to each other and be like, I like this dude.
There you go.
Vice versa. Yeah. What are some of the early memories or most valuable lessons that you would say that you took away from that childhood?
Oh, man. I think, seeing overall just the environment. My mother and father, they put a huge responsibility on me early. So I think having that responsibility put on me early, whether it was, being 5, 6 years old, walking my sister to daycare, and I'm walking myself to kindergarten, like legit, like this is what I'm doing, right? My mother never really held my hand, It's not saying that she didn't raise me. She definitely raised me. But like my nickname growing up was Man. My late grandfather, who was a military man, he gave me the name Man because I was always into something, trying to learn something, right? So I think that just stuck with me overall because to me, I'm like, age is nothing but a number. It's the mentality, So taking those mentalities, taking that mentality through every stage of my life, every chapter, it kind of just created who I am today. And virtually every age, they like, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 25. But they be like, no way you're 25. Now I'm 30. It's like, no way you're 30, right?
Right.
Because it's just how I carry myself, right? People are like, oh, you're so serious. Well, life is serious. It's not a game out here to just be walking around just thinking like, something's going to be handed to you. I learned that early. Like nothing's going to be given to you. It don't matter what your story is. You get to create something good out of your hardship or you could complain about it. And I chose not to complain about anything.
Right. And I think your parents prepared you, if we're being honest, as a young black man in America and in the hoods that you grew up in.
Correct.
Shit is dangerous. Dangerous, something to beware of, and the way you carry yourself and the responsibility you're able to, kind of a childhood gets robbed from you. Not necessarily because of your financial situation, but it doesn't help. And then on top of that, they're giving you all this responsibility, but you didn't seem to whine or complain. You kind of just accepted it for what it is.
I didn't. I went astray a couple times, but I kind of, when a crowd went left, I never was a follower. And I think that's what gave me that leverage over everything else, over everyone else. And whether it been grade school or whatever, I just never followed people. I've never been a follower.
So let's talk about school. How far did you advance in school? Yeah. What was that like, being that you were bouncing around the whole time?
See, using the hardship to help you out, right? Because I found it easier for me to adapt to any climate, any environment. Because like in 7th grade alone, right? I was in 4 different schools and got held back.
Wow.
So I went from Brooklyn, Queens. Well, I went from Jersey, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx.
Wow.
4 different schools. And in each of those schools, I had to sit out like a sore thumb, who the new kid. Right. I had to adapt, get personable. Let
and your ass is gone in 2 months anyway.
I'm going in 2 months. But then also it's like, oh, people gonna try you, test you out, a new kid. So you got to stand up for yourself. I got a little sister that's watching me. I got to walk her to school, make sure she's safe, right? So, I jumped around a lot in grade school. to answer the final question, I made it up to college. I graduated with my bachelor's. The goal was to go play football. I got a little, I guess you could say, disgruntled and decided to not go play D1 because of how my senior year ended in high school. So I decided to stay local. Felt like I had the responsibility to take care of home, my mother, et cetera.
Right.
Work a job, go to school full time. So I did that. Worked 2-3 jobs. Went to school full time. Finished with my bachelor's in criminology and public health.
Okay.
School. Yeah.
And you never had any resentment for like not being able to go and have that experience?
I did. I did because I was what, I was arguably a 3-star, but like a 2-star. It's like the top running back in New York City. Wow. I was pretty good.
Right, and there's not a lot of running backs. People don't understand. Like, you play balls. Like, there's not a lot of programs.
It's not
in New York City.
It's not, and
especially for football.
No. And at that time, this is 2011, 2012. The PSAL was sending a lot of guys to D1 schools, so we was getting a lot of looks. Syracuse, Rutgers, et cetera.
Okay.
And a lot of guys that I played against were already in the league by the time 2015 came. So you go through that little choppy phase where you're looking at guys you played against. You're like, I was better than you. But I realize now that just wasn't the path God had ordained for me, and I had to go through my journey, and it just looked a little bit different. I jumped headfirst into entrepreneurship even, when I got into college, at 20, 21 years old. It was like, let me go start a business. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know the guys I like the most in movies are the ones that own businesses. So let me take that route and try my best and, go through those obstacles.
What were some of the first businesses you started as a young adult?
First thing was a fitness apparel and personal training.
Okay.
Right. But before that, I sold a lot of candy. I mean, a lot of candy. So
you wasn't eating too much.
No, I wasn't eating it though.
Don't get high on your own supply.
I wasn't eating it, but I was definitely one of those high school kids where it actually started in 8th grade, talking about my mother, where I just asked her, hey, we go to BJ's, can you just buy me a box of candy? Because I knew she was struggling to pay for prom, graduation for 8th grade. So I was like, I'll do it. I'll pay it. And I, raised enough money, a couple $100 to buy a suit, do those things. Then I get into a bigger high school, it was like 3,000 kids. I'm like, I could do the same thing, 3,000 kids. I see as a need. And I was selling everything from Oreos to Capri Suns and Jack, you know what I mean? Then it got to a point where I became an upperclassman, a junior, senior, and I had, 9th and 10th graders selling candy for me. So I'll be distributing 30 to 60 pieces of candy out a day. And at the end of the day, I would be collecting and I would pay them their percentage based on how much they sold. Then at the end of the day, I'll get on a bus after football practice, get on a 9-bus, 19 bus down to BJ's. I'll re-up 400 or 500 pieces of candy, get to school early because I didn't want nobody to know what my locker was. Get to school early the next day, sold all the candy out. Exactly, right? Sold all of the candy out, and then I distributed again before first period. And, I was making somewhere between $400 to $600 a day on candy.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Before you knew it, my senior year, I was sitting on over $10,000 and went to, not only did I buy my first car, but also started my first business like that.
Now, I don't want you incriminating yourself if the answer is yes, but
yeah.
I mean, did that ever dive into something illegal? Because it's rare that you can scale something to that level, but then you, as a hustler, as an entrepreneur, you see other opportunities that yield better results.
Well, I wouldn't say it's the most illegal because now it's not illegal. I had a friend, I ain't gonna say his name, he came to me and said, yo, bro, you ever thought about selling edibles?
Okay.
And I'm like, and now I'm seeing I'm about to go to college.
This is early. Wasn't everywhere at that time, right?
It's not. It wasn't. I'm like, y'all don't know nothing about no weed and edibles, and I don't even know how to bake. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, come over to my crib. I just need this amount of money to get however much marijuana.
Making your own.
And we started baking our own edibles. That transitioned into when I got into college. I started selling edibles in college.
Right.
So I seen that at my senior year was over high school. I'm like, damn, what I'm gonna do to get money in college? And then sure enough, going into my senior year,
they're not buying as much candy.
They're not buying no candy in college, right? I can't be the kid walking around campus with candy in my bag, right? So I kept
selling the edibles first, then selling the munchies.
Exactly, and that I did pretty well selling edibles. We did everything from brownies to red velvet cupcakes, a little bit of everything, and selling pretty well. And I would go from campuses up in the Westchester area selling edibles until that just kind of died out. you know.
That's dope, man. I love uncovering the process because people don't realize the shit does not happen overnight. And you and I are around the same age, so we get it. But then we're also part of the social media generation where we embrace it because we're not too old to be like, and just be on Facebook like our parents. But we also not young enough to really not know the struggle that it takes to get to what you see. The end result is all these kids see. And it's wild because to tell your story, this is now, we 15 to 20 years into this life. Because you've been doing this since you're 5 years old. Now you're in college, let's say early 20s, and this transitioned into a somewhat illegal hustle. I don't really consider weed illegal. Even back then, it was just something that the government couldn't make money off of. So they was locking up the people that looked like us that sold it because they wasn't locking up, other people that were smoking weed. So where does this take you? What's your early career path after graduating school? What do you decide to do? Because I'm sure there's more steps to get to where we are today.
It's a lot more steps. I had a gap period in time where you'll be surprised I was law enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a stint in law enforcement. Thought I could change the community, so to say, make an impact. But I realized that the shield was much bigger than me.
Right.
And that just wasn't what God had anointed for me, So I transitioned out, I would say about 3.5, 4 years in.
Where were you on the job?
In the Bronx.
Okay. So NYPD.
On the 43rd precinct.
Okay.
So we really dealt with the whole Parkchester, Castle Hill area. And tough, I realized that when I said no once, it was eat dog shit, for lack of a better word, excuse my language. And, I transitioned out, vested out, as so they say, and I probably left with $322 in my pocket.
Right.
And I went full-time into personal training again. But this time I had a plan. I had a social media plan. Started just training clients all over the city. And then that led to about 3 years from that point, opening up a gym in the Bronx in the Morris Park area.
I want to dive into that 3.5 years because that's not something I saw coming. And you had a criminology degree, so it makes sense. What was that like being a police officer, a young black man in the Bronx trying to help your own people? But, you didn't really say it, but you're going up against the grain. And, we always used to say that the biggest gang in New York is the NYPD.
Correct.
And they, unfortunately, I do respect the job. I do respect the struggle, but there's three sides to every story, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people lose their selves in that job because they have to see people at their worst.
Yeah.
So no matter who you are, what your intentions, you're going to see people when they call you or there's an emergency. So you're seeing people at their worst, and then here you are trying to make a change, which is being resisted, I'm sure, from internal forces.
Yep.
What's that whole thing like, and what even inspired you to become a cop?
It nothing inspired me. It just happened. It was, senior year, or I would say my last year, my undergrad. Someone came to me, a friend of a relative, was like, "Hey, you should do this. Take a bunch of city exams, try out for this." I was like, all right, what else? I don't got nothing else right now, you know what I'm saying? So I did it, got a couple calls. I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And I went in there, headstrong, youngest guy in the academy, ended up being like squad leader, and all of these different things. And I'm thinking, okay, I can do something with this. But my plan was to never do 20, 25 years because I'm an entrepreneur at heart.
Right.
So my plan initially was just like, well, let me do 5 to 10 years, invest out, make some good money, put that into the business. Because when you work for the city, you could practically get anything you want, when it comes to certain loans, investment properties, whatever that may look like. So I was looking at it from a strategic standpoint. But I didn't realize that what goes on in that 8 hours, sometimes 16, 12 hours, was something completely different. Put the uniform on, you go out there, you think you're making some form of change, but it didn't dawn on me until I slapped cups on a 16-year-old that this was not something that I could do long term.
Right.
And chasing down people for little micro joints just to put them through central bookings that just didn't sit well with me. And it just got to a point where I just got tired of it. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not chasing them. I'm not your run horse no more, Right. I'm not, just because I'm the youngest guy and I could run fast, y'all get a thrill out of me chasing people down. It's not something I'm cool with doing no more.
Right.
I remember what it felt like hopping a turnstile and then getting cups on me and sitting there, people getting on that train, looking at me, being embarrassed, you know, and I didn't want to give that to the next person. So, or let alone let a 16-year-old go through face challenges that come with having offenses, even as small as a misdemeanor. It just didn't make sense to me. So, you know, and like I said earlier, I went against the grain. It was like, yo, it's something I'm not doing no more. You know, my grandmother, my nana, pardon me, she was diagnosed with cancer in 2018. I was like, damn, stage 3. And I was like, well, if she passed away right now, what did I show her? Like, did I change her life? I didn't. She's still in Newark, New Jersey. She's still in the projects. She's still living the same place for 50 years. So when she beat it, I was like, if she could beat that, then I could beat not having some money in a job. You know what I'm saying? And I just left. I transitioned out and I bet on myself. I would drive Uber at night, train clients in the afternoon, and deliver car parts for Chevy.
Wow.
In the mornings from 4 a.m. to about 11:30.
Right. And
I slept in my car for a year straight, and I made more money in that year than I ever made at NYPD.
Because you wasn't spending.
I was just stacking and saving.
Struggling to get to a better future.
That's it.
Who taught you that work ethic?
Be honest with you, I just learned it. I didn't have no like true role models. Like, yeah, I got my pops. My pops is a hustler. He was definitely that guy up 2 a.m. doing what he needed to do in his ways, you know.
Right.
I grew up around hustlers, so I'm not going to say that. But the work ethic that I have, you know, I really admire just certain people on a TV screen, to be honest with you. You know, like my thing was like looking at black men that looked like me, whether it was Denzel or, you know, whoever it was at that time. I was just like, dang, I know it's a movie, but there's some truth to the character he playing. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I would just take that music and just use it to fuel me. And that was really my goal. It's like, let me create the version of myself that I wanted to see growing up. And that's still what it is. Like, I don't have kids yet, so I'm trying to be the best man I could be. So my kids, hopefully I have boys, they look up to me and like, damn, my dad is a superhero. So that's what I'm aiming for every day.
Your daughter will look at you like that too, brother.
Yeah.
I struggle with the same things that my daughter came first, but it wasn't until my son was born that it really clicked for me, similar to like your little brother. Yeah. Because there's something about not having that male role model always readily available that makes you either resent it or want to be it. Correct. And it sounds like you want to be it. And I love the fact that you touched on having to look at the TV screen for inspiration. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't get diversity in entertainment and how important it is. You're not the first guest I have that mentions, you know, that they're looking at the TV screen and they're like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. Correct. And we had Ulysses Terrero on the other day, Dominican cat from Bronx and Queens, who casts, I seen that one. You know, he casts different roles and they changed the game because it just wasn't available. But it's important to see people that look, sound, think, and act like us on some level. You know, obviously the polished Hollywood version, so that we can be like, yo, I could do that too. So that's cool, man. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Drive Forward Academy, how that whole mission came about, and what's your background in commercial driving?
And Drive Forward Academy it's been something I've been developing for probably the last 2 years. It started off with me because I own a dump trucking company where we move raw materials for construction sites.
When did that start for you?
That started 4 years ago.
How'd that even come about? Just to come back to
I had my gym, old friend of mine, old business partner came to the gym and was like, hey, I got this opportunity. And at the time I had money. I was looking to really start something different. The fitness climate, the environment was kind of changing a little bit. I started seeing people doing commercial gyms that look like hotels. I said, I don't got that type of money right now to be putting $500,000 into a gym so I could park my Lamborghini on the thing, right? So I was like, all right, well, what's something, you know, trucking was hot at the time. Everybody's talking about trucking, and I seen in the pandemic that trucks were still moving. So I'm like, well, this might be cool. But one thing about me, I like to try to find like niche industries within like a sub industry within the industry. And dump trucks was that sub industry within the industry. So I got into the dump trucking, decided to partner, and ultimately that business failed. Then I started my own, did it my way, and, you know, just been grinding it out ever since. So that's how I got into trucking. I've been in trucking for about 4.5 years, but in my hiring needs and some of the problems I faced in the trucking industry, I was like, well, what's something I could start, but that'll also impact the community? not just be about, capitalism and me just collecting. Like my goal is always to impact. Like if you think about my first origins of entrepreneurship and fitness, it was literally to show African Americans and Latinos, fitness is we need it, nutrition, we need it, right? So I find that my calling it has to be connected to people, developing people, helping people. So when Drive Forward came about, I started just, brainstorming, putting things together, doing market research. And I'm like, well, this is something I'm going to do. So Drive Forward Academy, just to answer your question, is a AI integrated innovation trade platform where we help formerly incarcerated individuals along with underserved, marginalized communities get access to trades or getting a CDL. And they don't have to pay.
Wow.
The government pays for it, right?
Okay.
So to say, right? So we have a bunch of different partnerships that we work with. And our goal is to not just give them the skills, but also help them with the professional development, the financial literacy, and then resume building. Right. So it's a holistic wraparound, program, right? And ultimately, up to date, we've impacted over 150 participants. That number is going to expand over the next 12 months. Our reach has gotten greater. My team has grown. And then we're implementing the tech side of things because we realized with automation, autonomous vehicles, things are changing. So we want all our students to ensure that they have longevity in the industry. But then also, if they decide to transition out of that and they want to be an owner-operator or own a trucking business, we help them with that as well.
Right, and that was cool. There's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to the AI and technology and how that is the one tool that we could either make excuses or embrace to kind of just jump the line, because that makes the playing field so much more level.
Absolutely.
But what was the inspiration for Drive Forward Academy? And then I also want to shine a light on the fact that you have been doing thing after thing after thing after thing after thing, but that's the value of moving. Yeah. You're gonna meet somebody, the partner, it didn't work out. You know what, I could do this on my own, been in the same boat. It's like, what do I need you for? Not a disrespect, but it's hard to have two people on the same wavelength.
Very true.
So that business fails, you start your own trucking business, or dump truck business, which has then become successful. What's the inspiration for Drive Forward Academy, and how did you find out that government will incentivize you to train and educate these particular members of the community that need it?
Well, it goes back to that point you made earlier about us being a part of that generation that understand the power of social media. I tell people all the time, leverage social media. People know what you do, the better outreach you have. People, more people you can impact. But just doing what I did on social media, just posting, giving information, education. And a professor of mine from way back in the day reached out to me. And he was like, hey, come into the office. I'm never going to say no at that time. I'm just, anytime I got an opportunity to talk to somebody, connect, I'm probably going to say yes, because I know some opportunity somewhere along that conversation possibly. So I ended up going down to the Wall Street, building on Wall Street, and come to find out I'm not going to say the agency, is a commissioner is there. I'm like, okay, this is something way bigger than I assumed. And then, they're just talking to me about, we like what you do, we see your social media, how can we incorporate this into helping our demographic of people? Right. And I got straight to it. I told them, and this, boo, boo, boo. And that led from one small cohort to bigger cohorts and a trusting relationship and lasting impact.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And what's your ultimate goal for Drive Forward? Give me a number.
My goal.
And it better not be the first one you come up with. We talked about that.
Nah, we did talk about that. So, and it's funny you talk about that. Well, first, from an impact standpoint, our goal is to impact 10,000 individuals, right? And we plan to do that within the next year and a half, 2 years. So by 2027, June, we should have impact 10,000 individuals and expand it to at least 3 to 4 locations. From a number standpoint, by next year, I'm looking to do at least 10 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
That's the goal. So by June 30th, and my team, I told them it's no. If you can't tell me a reason why we can't do it, we're going to do it. And that's what we're setting out to do. We've already hit our benchmarks for this year, which is amazing. Like before I met you, I was asking you how I'm growing too fast, right? I'm just embracing it now, because I done been through all of the pain points. I realized was what I know I'm capable, and I'm moving a little bit different because of having God basically being in my life. Is a little bit different. Like 5 years ago, I was uncertain. That's why I had business partners. You know, I was trying to connect with people who was like-minded. Now I'm just like, I could do this.
Right.
You know, I'm not missing anything. I got all of the tools, and whatever I don't know, I just go get the people who might be smarter than me in that area, and that's what I'm doing.
Right, and I think also it speaks to serving a purpose higher than yourself.
You have to.
And the universe, God, whatever you choose to or believe in.
Yeah.
It just starts to feed that energy, and it's crazy when I spoke to you. It's like, yeah, whatever that number is, just so the audience knows, they hear me say it all the time. That's your scared number. That's your realistic number now.
Yeah.
10 times that, and that's the number that will pull you to where you ultimately want to go, because you got to learn a new set of tools.
Yeah, yeah.
And up to that point, right, you're grinding and you're growing, but you're growing not exponentially. You're growing, 50%. Maybe even doubled at some points.
Correct.
Tripled.
Correct.
But in order to 10x, you got to get the right team around you and the right people around you. What does the hiring process look like for you? What kind of people are you looking for? Mm-hmm. And what are the challenges that you face when looking for people to help you build that mission?
Well, I think that a part of being, in a leadership position, I'm always looking at people. And when I have conversations, I'm trying to get to know you. You might not even know I'm scouting you, but I'm looking at like, okay, I know you work in marketing and you in a high position in your corporate life. Chances are I'm going to come back at some point and pitch an idea to you, see how you take. But I'm always looking for go-getters, hustlers, people who don't take no for an answer, people who are faithful to something or serving something bigger than them. I interviewed 3 people last week, and number one question I asked them is like, what's your why? What fuels you? What keeps you going? Because, you could translate most skills from industry to industry. So it's not about skills. It's about what's up here and what's in here. And if you got those tools, then I know you're somebody I could work with, right? I'm not in a chapter of my life where, 1, I'm taking no for an answer, or 2, I'm looking to kind of just succumb to any problems or any things that don't align with where I'm trying to go. It's like, yo, we gonna make this happen or we not. And not is not the option. We're gonna do this, So I'm always just looking for people who are strong in their faith, always looking to level up, to see the bigger picture. If I say, yo, the goal is 100 million, don't tell me why we can't do it. Right. Tell me how we can do it. You see what I'm saying? I'm not, because if it's on my mind, it's on my mind. You're not gonna shake and tell me anything different. Right. I'm gonna figure it out. So I'm just looking for people who are mentally strong and got heart, and also willing to learn and develop and change their family dynamics to some degree.
Right, and you're driven, so it's basically polite. Either listen, you can take this ride and help me get to this goal, or you can look at me get there from from afar.
Exactly.
And it's all love, but maybe you're just not meant for this journey. And I know self-development is big. We speak the same language. Who are some of your inspirations in that world, or what are some of the books that you might recommend to a young person looking to change their life or level up?
So many books. From one, I'll say David Dida, The Way of a Superior Man. That changed my life about 7 years ago.
How so? Let's stop there, because I read that about 3-4 times. I'm goosebummed out.
It's one of the ones you got to read at least 3-4 times.
And keep reading. A couple times a year.
No, seriously. I mean, that book, 1, taught me how to really control every fiber internally in terms of my mental, spiritually, how I interact with people, how I interact with my lady, how I interact with just people in general, how to stay poised under adversity. Every different aspect of what it means to be a man and stay on your word and really live up to that potential, it really molded me, like, tremendously. Another book would be Iron Man. It has the old ancient Greek face on the front of it. It's a red and black cover.
Okay.
Another book, so many. The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That was a good one by Mark Mason. That's a good one. That one just taught me to stop caring. Everybody not gonna like you. People gonna call you every day. You probably gonna have problems. But it teaches you just to care but not care, almost, right? And that one was a pivotal book for me, because when I transitioned out of previous partnerships and they took to social media trying to bash me, say certain things, it came to a point where I was like, I just can't give a fuck, because people gonna be people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I know my character. I know what I've done. I know what I'm gonna do. And ultimately, you know, I don't give a fuck at this point in my life.
To me, that shit is lame too. To get on social and bash somebody. We got an issue, just
sort it out. Like,
sort it out, like, man, exactly, like face to face. And it don't mean violence. It just means let's have a conversation, like, man, and agree to disagree, and we go our separate ways. You tell your side, tell you my side. We're probably not gonna agree, but to air it out on social, some real female shit.
I agree.
And that speaks to something important with that book, Way of the Superior Man. For me, it taught me so much about the dynamic between masculine energy, feminine energy, how I'm showing up, how she's showing up, how she's responding to my energy.
To your energy.
And that as men, whether we like it or not, we are always called upon to lead.
Correct.
The family, the home, your lady, everything follows suit based on the way that the man leads.
Absolutely.
And this isn't taking any power away from the woman in the relationship or the female. It's just actually empowering them to embrace that side of the more, which then feeds more of our good masculine side, not that toxic masculinity that everybody likes to throw out.
You said it better than me. I agree. I think everything starts with us at the head. We dictate the energy in our relationships, and we got to be 100% accountable for that, for sure.
Yeah, and y'all have a beautiful relationship. Your ladies here in studio, and we met at the engagement, and y'all seem to have a really good relationship. Every relationship is with challenges. What do you see for your future? No pressure, but no kids yet, right?
No kids yet.
And I see a man who is meant to lead a family as well in front of me. And from what I know about your lady,
I'm definitely
great compliment to that.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say eager, but I look forward to that moment when I do have kids and we start a family. The goal is marriage first, which is about to happen soon.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to starting a family. I know that's just going to drive me even more.
Right.
You know, I look forward to that motivation. I'm not one who lacks discipline and you know, got vices and stuff. I'm more about family, business, and my fun is the gym. My fun is a travel. My fun is conversations like this. So anything outside of that, I'm cool. I like being home on Sundays, meal prepping and
boring.
Smoking a cigar.
People call it boring, but I call it focus.
I'm out the way. You know, I'm out the way. I'm focused. You know, no distractions, and that's really how I live my life now. So I know adding kids to that dynamic is only just going to take me to that next level.
Yeah, I have no doubt about it. I want you to tell our audience where they can find more information about you, Drive Forward Academy, if they're interested in finding out more how that program can help them, because I want to do everything in my power to help you get to 10,000 next year.
I appreciate that.
And this platform would just obviously be the beginning of
so
that.
I'll start with the business because business is first. So virtually every platform you could think of, Drive Forward Academy. You type in Drive Forward Academy, the website, that'll lead you to all our contact information. Call us. I'll either pick up or someone in my team will pick up. We're located at 458 East 138th Street. That's our Bronx location. We will be opening up a location probably in Brooklyn and then another in New Jersey, but that's still pending. Again, that's Instagram, Drive Forward Academy, LinkedIn, Drive Forward Academy, TikTok, Drive Forward Academy, everything Drive Forward Academy. And then for me, Saddiq Al, so SADDIQ.AL on Instagram. And then on LinkedIn, Halim Saddiq Livingston Jr. on LinkedIn. And you can virtually reach me. If you Google me, you could find me. I got YouTube too. It ain't as big as yours, but I got a YouTube presence. I really just try to give educational content virtually on everything I do. So that's how you can reach me on any of the platforms.
My brother, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in today. I can't wait. We're going to get some great gems out of this that are hopefully going to move our people forward. We're going to have Saddiq Ali's information in the bio, Drive Forward Academy. So if you want to find out more about obtaining your CDL license and you happen to be formerly incarcerated individual or know someone who is, make sure you forward this information. Thank you as always for tuning in. And as always, let's get it.
Let's get it.